Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King coming to you. I'm going to talk about the college week 3 over-under. I'm trying to broaden my horizon now that I've figured out the over-unders. I want to do a video on a game and a video on the over-under. Some people don't like over-unders or they don't understand it. And I was one of them. 10 years ago I very rarely would play an over-under. Now I fully understand it, and they're much easier. And if you notice, the team will come out on Sunday night, it wins, let's say a 50, and by Wednesday they're up to 60. You won't see 10-point movements on games, but you will see it on over-unders. I've seen plenty of 5-6 point movements right away. That's why I like to bet it wins on Sunday night, because you look at the games first. So as I'm watching the pros, I'm looking at the college, and I'm keeping an eye on both, so don't worry. And then I'll have, oh, that's an over game, that's an under game, and you see that first line, you jump on it, and then as everybody sees it and moves it, then it goes. So it's funny how everybody thinks, oh, it's Vegas, they know the line, it hits perfectly. Bullshit. They're off by 7-8 points a lot. You just don't know that. I mean, you'll see it come out at 60 and it ends at 70, and then the number hits 71. You go, wow, that was great. No, they came out at 60. They don't know what they're doing. They're just taking averages, really. But you pay me to figure out when they're off, and I give you when they're off. So let's go to college over-unders. Who do I like? All right. All right, let's go to USC Stanford. The spread's 8.5, 9 for Stanford. The over-under is 53. And I must pat myself on the back because my over-under I had for this game was 52. So what I do is I make my own lines. So my over-under on this game was 52. It comes out at 53. So I felt pretty good. Now, I can take SC in 14.5, but after the Alabama embarrassment, I'm not really comfortable. Stanford's blown them out 2 years in a row. SC's got a decent offense and a weak defense. Stanford has USC's number, and they score a lot in this game. So I could take Stanford minus 2.5, but you never know against SC. Is that the best play? That's probably a good play. Let's look at the over-under. Do you want to go under 59? Well, USC, they're going to score, and they're going to let up points, and Stanford can score. So probably the prudent is 47 to go over. When you look at the game, 47 is 24 to 23, or 28-21 is a 47. And I can't imagine that they don't hit 30 in this game very easily. I don't think USC can win it, but I think they can keep it close enough to make it uncomfortable if you got Stanford laying 2.5. Or Stanford blows them out like they've been doing, and then they put up a 40 and SC gets a 20, which could happen also. So why mess around with the game when you know SC in 14 sounds good, Stanford laying 2? Where do you go with it? This is why you play teasers, though. Okay, let's say you like Stanford. You want to lay 8.5 to USC? Is that a better bet than Stanford laying 2.5? Stanford laying 2.5 is 1,000 times better, much more probability of a win, Stanford laying 2.5 than 8.5. And this is why I promote teasers and I do teasers. If you understand it and you can get to my level, and I'm not trying to brag, but I've been doing this since 1977, and I've seen it and I've studied it and I've figured it out. And anytime you get an 8.5 down to 2.5, the probability of the win with a Stanford at home against a team they seem to always win, you probably have a 90% odds on winning. Laying 8.5, you probably got a 40% chance of winning. Or SC plus 14.5, now you're over 2 touchdowns. You probably have a 90% chance of winning that one if USC plays better than they did against Alabama, which they should. I mean, Alabama's a way of really making you look bad. But so what I like here is, yeah, you can go 2.5, you can go 14.5. They probably are both good bets, but I think the best play is the over 47 here. Stanford will score in the 30s. USC probably gets in the 30s. They both get at least in the high 20s, which is like a 56. 28-28's a 56, and you're looking for 47. I don't see how this game won't get to 47. So that's my point. So I look at this. I look at the first half. Let's go over Stanford USC. Another over under. Let's look at. Where's my game? Excuse me, I'm trying to find my game that I want to talk about. Well, it's the Northwestern game. Unbelievable. Where is it? Somewhere I might hear it is. Duke, Northwestern's laying 4 to Duke, over under of 44. I had it at 50. Northwestern has no offense and has a very good defense. Duke's quarterback's out. They put up 14 on Wake Forest. Duke doesn't score like they used to. All their guys graduated, and I'm waiting to see the new guys. Northwestern will play a really sound game. 44, go under 50 in this one. Northwestern, you can't really trust. They've lost to a Division II high school team. Duke's just injured, and they, Duke in 10's probably a good bet, but again, it's hard to trust them. They're not as strong as they've been. Over 38 could be okay, but I think under 50 is probably good. I don't think either team hits 20. I think Northwestern, they don't have an offense. They're going to score 10, 13 points. Duke will be right around there. I think neither team gets to 20, so you're looking at a 30 to 35, and you're under 50, and I think that's the way to go in this game. So you take the Northwestern. So what I'm doing here is looking at a team with a strong defense and no offense against another team with a pretty strong defense and an offense with the quarterback out, so they're kind of they're feeling it out. If anything, Duke can score, but Northwestern can't. So Duke might win 20 to 6 or something, or Northwestern could win 20 to 9. But Northwestern's defense will keep it low, and the fact they have no offense. So you're looking at a very low scoring game. And that's what I do. So instead of messing around, do I want Northwestern +2? Who knows? Do I want Duke in 10? Who knows? I mean, you can't look at the teams. They're so weak offensively that you can't say I want either side. But it's like the Monday night game. That was my lock, the Rams 49ers. I locked it under because I said neither team has an offense. And they both have very good defenses. I thought the Rams defense is better than the 49ers. So when you're looking at that, that's what you look at. So therefore, when I'm looking at Duke Northwestern, see, this is where I used to force and take Duke +10 and force the play. And then Northwestern wins 13-0, and you're like, how did that happen? But now it's, it'll be low scoring because Northwestern, great defense, no offense. Duke, not much offense, fairly good defense, but it doesn't matter because Northwestern can't score on Division II teams. So that's what you look for. Northwestern's definitely an under team. Duke's not as much of an under team, but showing how they only scored 14 on Wake Forest, I can't give them props for being a explosive team like they were, especially with their quarterback Cirque out. So therefore, take the under Northwestern Duke, take the over Stanford USC. That is my complimentary over under, and I'm explaining strategy so you understand me and you understand the reason for the pick and get your mind going of, wow, this is a good way to look at it. Because before it'd be an automatic struggle. Let me talk about one more game. I'm not playing this game as of now, but I'd like to talk about it because it's a very fascinating game here. Notre Dame laying 8 to Michigan State. Over under of 51. I'm baffled at this game. I got Notre Dame -1.5 at home. I'm going probably a winner, but Michigan State went into Ohio State with this quarterback as 14-point dogs last year and got the W. And Michigan State is a very, very strong road underdog. So if anything, I like Michigan State in 14, but the question is, what's their weakness? The quarterback, who knows? He's not Connor Cook. Their secondary's been a problem the last 2 years. Baylor lit them up. Oregon lit them up. Any team that was a good passing team lit them up. So therefore, you can't, until you see this team, and you haven't seen them because they played Furman, and then they were off. So you can't see it. So this is a perfect example of patience. We might bet Michigan State every week from here on in if they show me a secondary that just crushes Notre Dame's receivers, puts pressure on their quarterback, runs the ball down their throat, and they win 20-0. I'll be on Michigan State every week for the rest of the year. Notre Dame, we know they got a good passing offense. That's what Brian Kelly does. They can run the ball a little. The matchup is Michigan State running the ball down their throat versus Notre Dame throwing the ball all over the place on a weak Michigan State secondary, possibly a weak Michigan State secondary. Last year they had a lot of injuries to their secondary, and they lost their whole secondary, and they had freshmen playing, and that's why they were getting beaten up all the time. That's one of the reasons I took them against Alabama, because all of their guys played in that game, and Cook I thought was healthy, so I thought they'd be able to keep that game close. And judging by the way they played the big games and beat Ohio State, you just thought that getting all those points, they'd be a very close game. I mean, you get 18 points in State, it's hard not to take it. Anyway, I could see taking State in 13.5, 14 points here. But again, there's so much unknown, it's hard to do. Now, over under, again, this ain't going to be Notre Dame, Texas. You're not going to see 97 points. Michigan State can pressure the passer with their front four. They can stop the run. That's what Michigan State does. So Kaiser's not going to have a whole lot of time back there. Not going to sit. This isn't Texas's defense. This is a real defense. This is a top 10 defense in the country normally. So they're going to put pressure and they're going to blitz this guy. They're going to run it down their throats. That's Michigan State's game plan. So with that being said, it's more of an under for Michigan State, but you know how explosive Notre Dame is. So you're thinking, well, maybe it's an over game. The over-under is 51, so I can go over 45 or under 57, and I couldn't tell you either way what to take here. I mean, I just look at it like, State could just shut them down and run the ball, and it could be 20-17. Notre Dame can score, but then maybe State doesn't because they can't run and they got to throw, and the kid's not a good thrower. How good State's secondary? I mean, State's going to show up in this game. I would be more comfortable with State in 14 than Notre Dame minus 1.5. You've got to understand Michigan State is a quality team that doesn't get blown out very often, a.k.a. Alabama. Besides that mess, they beat Ohio State, they beat Michigan, they beat Baylor in the Cotton Bowl, they beat Stanford in the Rose Bowl. This is not a team. Yes, I know they lost Connor Cook, and that's the big question mark. If this was Connor Cook, if this was last year's State team, this game would be a lock over. There's no question they'd score 80 points in this game. But because you don't have the quarterback who can, and he's not bad quarterback. I've seen him in spring practice. He's okay. So the question is going to be the pressure State's going to put on Notre Dame, and they're running the ball down Notre Dame's throat is going to be the key to this game. And if State can control that and run on them, and they lost 2 All-Americans in the draft, but they got another All-American center, and the way they go, their linemen will be fine. Their defensive line is great. It's top 5 in the country. They're going to put pressure on Kaiser. So what you have is probably a little bit more State running the ball and playing that tough D, and Notre Dame, it's not going to be a Texas. So as I'm thinking, I could see it being more of an under 57 than an over 45. But again, I'm not comfortable with State. But you're going to see State run the ball down their throat. This will be probably a close game, probably in the 20s. So you're probably looking at a 43-47 game, 27-20, 23-20, 27-23, somewhere in that neighborhood. There's no way Notre Dame will blow out Michigan State. I would guarantee that. It's not going to happen. You don't do that. State will find a way to run the ball and pressure the quarterback. I guarantee it. I've been watching State for 10 years. Well, I've been watching them for 40 years, but I mean, with D'Antonio, he will come up with a method, and he's definitely not going to let that happen. Anyway, I have no opinion on the game. I think I like State in 14, and I think I like it under, but I'm not playing it. That's just what I think as I'm talking it out with you guys. So anyway, you've got my over-unders. It's Stanford over, and it's Northwestern under. That's my over-under for the week and the Notre Dame commentary. Good luck, everybody. I have 3 monster locks going. One in college is a huge, huge lock. My advice is just to get it, and you'll be very happy you did. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. Thank you very much for watching, and hope you all make a fortune this weekend.